Hi, I'm Leslie Brenner. I'm restaurant critic for the Dallas Morning News, and I'm here at Remedy Restaurant on Lower Greenville with executive chef Danyele McPherson.
Hi.
And Chef, we thought we would like to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to give you a chance to respond to my recent review of your restaurant. So, is there anything that you would like, your diners to know or the dining public to know about, just the way you think about things or what you thought about the review?
Sure. We were reviewed originally about a year before the second review, and I think that what was really nice to see in what you wrote was for your ability to capture what was going on inside the restaurant, and not just the specificity of each dish, but truly kind of the turmoil is the wrong word, but just sort of the process that we were trying to go through to figure out who we wanted to be and what kind of restaurant we wanted, to put out there into the world to say, this is who Remedy is. And when we opened, we had all these ideas, okay, this is who we are, we're making this kind of food, we're making a lot of simple foods, fried chicken, all this sort of stuff, things that you really consider to be just like simple home staples. And originally when we started concepting the idea, that's kind of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do these kind of homey classics. And then as we kind of went on and, it just felt like we were trapped in this ideology that we created for ourselves, that we had to be this kind of restaurant and all the dishes had to fit in this box of, every ingredient has to be truly American, in its core. Like we can't use harissa or something because that's not an American concept. So we trapped ourselves in our creativity from the get-go. So when you did the second review, I think you really saw where we kind of unchained sort of our minds, and we allowed ourselves the ability to just make food that we wanted to make, that we felt fit the concept, and the concept being we're an American food concept. We didn't say, oh, we have to be Southern, or we have to be comfort food, or we have to be this. I mean, all the restraints that were sort of coming out in the cooking before were self-imposed by all of us, everybody that's working here, because we just kind of all collectively had this group think of this is how we want it to be, and then it didn't feel true to who we are,
So it almost sounds like you felt trapped by your own concept, like boxed in by it.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, the way it happened is, so you opened just a little over a year ago, and then I did, a normal review like 2 months after you opened.
Yeah.
And then something obviously happened to the way you were thinking about things to let you get out of feeling trapped like that.
Yes.
So what happened in your, how did that evolution happen?
A lot of it is, sitting there thinking about ideas or coming up with something where we think, oh my gosh, this would be really cool. Yeah, but it doesn't fit, or it doesn't fit who we are. And then we start thinking, if we have all these great ideas that don't fit who we are, then maybe who are we, So we started thinking about all the places that we like to go dine and what we like to get out of places. And then, the Southern food thing, we never set out to be a Southern restaurant by any stretch. But the idea is that, I'm making food that I'm inspired by, and, I grew up mostly in North Carolina, and my parents are from the Midwest, but my parents cooked a lot of, my parents eat meat and potatoes. Like, we didn't eat fish. If we ate fish, it was fish sticks, we didn't eat chicken unless it came from KFC. So I kind of grew up in this very, blue collar sort of, Midwestern kind of cuisine at the house. And then, my friends are all eating, chicken and pimento cheese and biscuits and all this sort of stuff because that's what they grew up eating, deviled eggs, all that. My parents don't eat that sort of stuff. So it was hard to figure out which direction to go, and because it's like, oh, we can't have all these things on the menu because people don't expect that, or, that doesn't create a theme. And then really it's like, it's all American food, and at this point it's like, what is American food? American food is everything. I mean, American food is spaghetti and lasagna just as much as it is like a cheeseburger. I mean, it's kind of everything. I mean, America's a melting pot. We have all these different cultures coming together, and so it's as soon as we start to kind of accept this idea that, hey man, American food can be what we want it to be, because that's modern America. That is what we're trying to do. We're taking all these classic ideas of all the, people who have moved here throughout the years and trying to put them together in a way that makes sense for us now in the present day, and that people want to eat, and that, maybe they make a connection with, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just think it's good. It doesn't always have to be rooted in this classic idea. It can just be something that you want to eat.
So was there some dish that you were maybe, an idea that you were playing with or conceptualizing, and then you were about to say to yourself, oh no, I can't do that because we're American, but then you had an aha moment with it? Like, do you remember like what kind of dish that would have been like that did that for you?
Well, they're like not necessarily like, oh, okay, it's not American, but okay, so the hobo dinner. The hobo dinner is a dish that's inspired by my childhood. My mom used to take a piece of tin foil and a wad of hamburger and sprinkle like way too much garlic salt on it, and then put like just cut up some carrots and potatoes and onion, and then put like a piece of a bouillon cube in there, a little bit of water, fold it up, throw it in the oven, and then like after it is very, very cooked and caramelized on the outside, comes out, and we eat it out of the foil and everything. And I kept thinking, I was like, this is the cool stuff that I feel like people want to see, but I can't, we're not going to make it if I'm just serving a wad of hamburger and a piece of tin foil to people. Like, they're not going to get it. So like, how do I make this into something that Dallas is going to be like, yeah, man, we want to eat this? So we started thinking about, it's not hamburger, that's not the solution, but beef, okay. Everybody likes short rib, everybody has short rib on their menu. It's such a, winter thing. And, as much as it's maybe like overused, like it's still great. It still tastes really good. And I think there's so many different treatments you can give it to make it your own. It's a great piece of meat. And I think it's something that in the wintertime, I want to eat it. So
it's comfort food.
Yeah. So, and again, speaking to this idea of like, this is something we ate at my house, that costs nothing, and then my mom just kind of threw together. So it's like, how do I get this into a dish that I can get people to pay for in the restaurant and not feel ripped off and feel satisfied, and have it fit this idea of it being like sort of a more modern feel.
Well, and it looks very modern,
yeah,
because there's you have like dots of horseradish cream.
Yeah. My parents didn't plate anything on the rim of the plate or anything at the house. And if they did, it was because it fell there, not intentionally. Yeah. But like, and just thinking about gnocchi, it's like, okay, we're not going to do potatoes. We want to do something different. It's like, okay, let's do gnocchi. Well, can we do gnocchi because gnocchi isn't American really? But does it make sense for us to do that? It's like, it does make sense for us to do that. There's been a gnocchi on American menus forever.
So now, did you surprise, like when you put that dish on the menu, did that shock or surprise your guests or your bosses or the owners?
It's not like when they eat it, it all makes sense. It's it's everything that I feel like you want to eat on a cold winter day. I mean, it's carrots and Brussels sprouts and this braising liquid that's just been put with a little bit of butter and great short ribs and gnocchi. I mean, it's everything you want to eat, but it's the plating. So it's how do you take these things and we could just plop them onto in a bowl and have it taste the same, but how do you turn it into a presentation where you start to think, okay, this is different, because you eat with your eyes. I mean, I'm guilty of looking at something like that looks gross, and then we eat it, you're like, all right, that was pretty good. And I feel like that's most of the food I make at my house. It looks really gross, but nobody's looking at it. We're not reviewing the food at the house, so it can look nasty and taste amazing. So it's like, how do I take this idea of something that's very homey and very just kind of stuff on a plate, and turn it into something that looks different and makes you feel a different way? And I mean, and some people that have been coming in since day one, they kind of, were like, I don't know if I get this, because I don't know if, is this who I think Remedy is? Are we plating stuff in an arc off the center of the plate and leaving negative space on the plate? Is that who we are? And maybe, it's like, do I think that's the only thing that we are? No. I mean, we're also, really simple salad, just kind of all tossed together in a plate that it looks like a normal salad you could get anywhere, but tastes really amazing and, is different.
They're actually really beautiful salads, and I think you have a really nice sense of, what works together and the right proportions and everything else, and they're really they were one of my favorite things that I had.
Salads are one of my favorite things to make, honestly. Like, and I know that seems weird because everybody's like into protein and breaking down these whole animals and turning everything into all this stuff. Like for me, I don't know, just thinking about a salad where I can put all of these different things into, because for me, if I can just eat the salad and it kind of satisfies all those notes, like that's what I love. I love things that have just a couple things in it, and it is that super rustic presentation. Like that is what I love to see in other places where I'm like, I feel like I had everything that I wanted in this bowl.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're going on the trajectory that you want the restaurant to be going, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, and I think we still have a lot of change to come. So you talked about the desserts, and then you said, I wish I had liked desserts, but they were all really sweet. And I think that the desserts we have on right now, I think they are all like, they're just kind of like these big like sweet sort of like, it's a peanut butter pie, it's very, very rich and very sweet. There's kind of no relief. It doesn't have any acidity or anything to kind of like play against it. And I feel like that's what our menu is right now. But it's like, I feel like no matter who's reviewing or who's coming in, you always wish, you're like, oh, but I'm working on all this stuff right now. I really wish they had the chance to try this. And I have all this stuff that we're sort of working on right now. Like we have a pistachio ice cream with a grapefruit mint marmalade and pizzelle cookies, that we're working on now, which I think is much more in the direction that I think you would appreciate as far as, it not being so like it's just a sweet dessert. It has a lot more sort of complexity and like all the flavors and everything that we're doing.
But the desserts, I mean, they're gorgeous,
sure.
and they go with the room. They go with this sort of glamorous soda fountain feel, and so they look so great. So that's cool to hear that you're playing with them. And they're your desserts, right?
Yes.
You're the pastry chef as well as them.
Which is really difficult, I'm going to say, because I don't have any formal training. It's really hard to come up with some things, and luckily we've had some people work here along the way, like Gmo, Tristan, or Andrew, depending on how you know him. He worked here, and the coconut cream pie is something that he helped us come up with when he was here, and it's something that people still love, and they think is the bee's knees, and that is something that he helped us develop when he was here, along the way. And everything else that we're sort of developing, they might be throwback ideas from when we started, or like, oh my gosh, I just don't know where to go, or this isn't working out, so we'll use a recipe that we've had for a little while, but it's all sort of evolution. And for me, pastry is really difficult because I'm used to being like, that doesn't taste right. Like, we'll sprinkle a little of this in there. Okay, hey, let's blend it. I don't know. Like, let's do this. Let's put it in the fryer. Every single time I make some kind of like a dough or a cookie or something, I just want to like put some of it in the fryer just to see what happens. Like that's.
So you must be a Texas gal at heart.
I think so.
Even if not.
North Carolina enjoys their fried food as well, for sure. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard to. You can read recipes all day and you can read techniques and whatever, but until you just kind of get used to how things work, it's hard. It's definitely not as intuitive for me as like cooking, I don't want to say regular food, but like savory food. It's a lot more easy to change something in the middle. Once you've made the cake batter, you're kind of stuck with the cake batter, or at least I am, because I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, I don't know, it turned out this way. Okay, and then I go back and read another recipe and I'm like, okay, if I add this or, so it's coming along. Yeah.
Well, Chef Danyele McPherson, it's been wonderful talking to you, and thank you for being a good sport about being reviewed.
Absolutely.
It's something I never get to say to chefs, but here I am saying it, and appreciate your taking the time to sit down and chat.
Absolutely, thank you.
Real pleasure. Thanks.